Okay, so we're finally towards the end of Consensus Day 3. While it's been a lot of fun, I am possibly happy to say that we're towards the end. Are you surviving, Lydia?
Oh, I've survived.
I think we're all feeling a bit like that.
But it's been awesome.
Yeah.
It's been very cool.
So I'm joined by Lidia Yadlos,
Yes.
the CMO of Digitex Futures.
Yes, thank you.
So welcome to the show, Lydia.
Thank you.
And we'll
Happy
be
to be
back
here.
just after this. Okay, welcome back. So as I said before, I'm joined by Lidia, the CMO of Digitex Futures. Digitex, pretty interesting because they're a non-custodial futures exchange for cryptocurrency and other assets. Is that right?
Traditional assets, yes.
Traditional assets as
And
well.
may I add, we are a zero fee futures exchange. I
Okay.
think that's probably one of our best value propositions
Well, there you go.
for traders. Yeah.
So first question then, how can you be zero fee?
That's a great question. We have our own native exchange token. It's called Digitex, but it's abbreviated DGTX. So basically, traders will have to trade on the exchange in Digitex.
Yep.
And as you mentioned, we're going to have cryptocurrencies available to trade, but we're also going to have traditional assets such as metals, commodities, indices, stocks.
Yep.
Currently, we're actually in the process of development, so we're not launched as of yet, but we are set to launch during the second half of the year.
So I think naturally the easiest comparison to make is BitMex.
Yep. That's the king of Bitcoin futures trading. So that's definitely one of our main competitors. And one of the things about BitMex, actually, as the marketing person, I deal with a lot of the influencers, a lot of the futures traders. So I do get a lot of feedback as far as their experiences on BitMex, experiences on other exchanges, and there's so many people complaining about not just the user experience, but the actual commissions. A lot of these traders, they lose so much of their profit to pay these commissions. So we have a very big audience. We have a huge community of people that are supporting and very excited about us launching this exchange because once again, they're not going to have to lose their profits to commissions. But on top of that, you had mentioned when you introduced me,
non-custodial? Because that's what I'm really interested in.
Non-custodial, that's a very, very unique part of what we're doing. So just to be clear, so our exchange is a hybrid model. So we have aspects of a centralized exchange. So we have that order matching engine. So we have that speed and the reliability for high frequency traders. But we also have the decentralized parts, which is the non-custodial account balances.
Okay.
So if you don't know what that means or you're not so familiar with it, basically our exchange will never hold the traders' funds. They're actually held on an independent smart contract. So basically that makes us, a more secure alternative as an exchange. And just to add to that, security wasn't that big of an issue. Well, I guess it's always been an issue, but more recently, last week, when we all saw what happened with Binance, it's like, wow, did Binance literally just get hacked? It's like now, it really is becoming an issue, and I think it's kind of a golden ticket for us to really, push that messaging that, as an exchange, you won't have to trust us. We're not going to get, the exchange itself won't be hacked.
And so when you say it's locked in a smart contract, so it's a little bit different to a classic decentralized exchange, if there's such a thing, where you'd be trading directly out of your wallet. Rather, you're putting funds into a smart contract on Ethereum, I'm guessing.
Exactly.
So you operate as an
Yes,
ERC20.
exactly. Yes,
cool. And so it's you're trusting the Ethereum blockchain this time around instead of a server somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. And just
a centralized server.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You're absolutely right. So yes, we are an ERC20 token. Our COO, Adam Todd, if anybody you follow here, you should totally follow him. He's just a brilliant, brilliant man. But he has partnered, our team has partnered with Ethereum developers, SmartDeck. So they are the ones that are actually heavily involved with building the non-custodial aspect of it. And they're actually here at Consensus, and they're actually going to be doing a hackathon this weekend in Brooklyn, in the Ethereum hackathon. They've won like 6 out of 7 recent hackathons. So again, we're just really excited to be working with them. And we're so close. Again, looking towards the second half of the year for the actual launch. But yeah.
So the token, is it already out?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I'm so happy you get a question. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you're so there's 2 things to it right now.
So I want to ask about sort of the treasury, like how sort of issuance works, and how obviously a zero-fee exchange plans to make money. So those 2 things, if you can answer that.
Yeah, absolutely. Our treasury. So we have about we have 1 billion Digitex in circulation right now, and what we've done is we've set aside 10% for our treasury, and that's also held on a smart contract. So we don't have access to it. It's on a smart contract. It's completely transparent and trustless. That was launched this year, March 1st, and then basically over the next 2.5 years, every quarter we're going to be releasing 10 million Digitex to the public. So on top of that, we've actually even set a cap. So if you want to buy Digitex, the maximum you can actually buy is 1 million Digitex. And we did this to protect us from having any large whale coming in trying to buy a whole bunch of it and then eventually try to smash it down. We're very careful as far as how we did this.
Yeah.
What was the second question?
So I was asking then, how do you make money, which you sort of answered in, I guess, that
Exactly,
treasury. So
yeah.
I guess you're hoping that the increased use of the exchange creates upward pressure on the price of the token, and then as you sell it out, was it every month?
So every quarter.
Every quarter, okay.
The smart contract releases 10 million Digitex.
And I think you mentioned something about there's a price floor in there somewhere of when you sell it. Is that correct?
Well, we'll never sell the tokens on the treasury if under 5 cents.
Okay, so there's a sort of built-in price floor.
Yeah, exactly. And again, that's just to protect ourselves. You know what I mean? Yeah. We really put a lot of thought into how we're doing this. But that's an interesting question how you asked. How does a zero-fee exchange work?
Yeah.
And I think you asked me first, and I just want to expand on that a little more because it's a very important
I think
factor.
it's an important one. Yeah.
It's like that's everybody. Like how does it work? So the fact that we are a zero-fee exchange, that creates a large demand of traders because if we're looking at somebody like BitMex or if we're looking at somebody like OKX, right? OKX has lower fees, right? But they're still charging the fees. So we already have that huge advantage of getting traders on board. So as we get more traders on board, they have to trade in Digitex, and over time that creates demand for it, which is obviously appreciating the value of the token.
Yeah.
And of course, that creates a very liquid market. And the famous saying is liquidity begets liquidity. So of course that attracts the bigger traders. So as far as how we make money, just the growing demand for traders.
Yep. Straightforward. And speaking about that market that you're looking to get into there, so you've got futures, obviously, derivatives, you've got traditional assets, I think is what we're calling them.
Right.
What's the kind of market share that you're looking to enter here and look to get a hold of?
Well, I mean, as a market share, we know who our competitors are. We see the kind of trading volumes, that are out there. Like with BitMex again, if they're trading $4 to $5 billion a day, OKX they're trading about $1.5 billion a day. I do want to point out that a lot of these volume figures are not necessarily real,
Good point. And at this point, I'm going to jump in and say this is not financial advice either.
Not financial advice, right? We're just talking here. But if we're looking at figures just alone in Bitcoin futures trading, right? Or even if we want to look just more even high level, just as a derivatives market, just overall derivatives trading. Last year there was 30 billion contracts traded. Futures went up,
30 billion.
30 billion contracts traded. I mean, it's huge. And I think for our audience, we're targeting retail traders. So we're a little bit different. We're not targeting institutional traders. We're targeting retail traders. So for us, it's important for people to understand how big this market is. Because, if we're saying that we're going to be taking this huge market share, we're going to be competing with basically the biggest exchanges, in this market, are we too ambitious? Are we too ambitious to say that? And my answer is no, because I know the value proposition of what we're offering. I know that there is nothing else out there like Digitex. I know the figures of what's actually out there in the market. And I know that, there is absolute interest in that. again, as the marketing person in charge of doing this, I've built a campaign, and we've been campaigning, the launch of this exchange since last summer. So currently we have 1.5 million users waitlisted to get on the exchange.
Okay.
And which is a large number. And realistically, are all 1.5 million people going to be actively trading once we launch? I don't think so. But I would like to say 10 to 20% of that list, those are actually going to be those traders that are on there.
Modest and conservative with that number as well.
I think it has to be. It's as a marketer, you always have your list. You know what I mean? And then you analyze that list, you sort through it, and then you filter out, who's actually really seriously interested in that. But just to point that out, if we're looking at say 100 to 200,000 traders to launch with, we're looking at a very active, liquid exchange. And again, we wouldn't have this waitlist unless the interest was there. People clearly do see the value in working with us.
And speaking of interest and interest in the market, we're obviously at consensus, and we're finally at the end of it. So if we're going to have insights, it's going to be now. What's your big takeaway from it this year? There's just been it's been very exciting. I've just absolutely loved this experience, as exhausted as I am. But if there's been a theme that I've noticed with all the panelists and people that I've had conversations with, I think it's just the mass adoption. It's just still, that's the question that keeps circulating. And of course, it's interesting how we just saw Ethereum and Bitcoin, obviously shoot up this week. That's really exciting. But the really main question is mass adoption. Is it happening? When is it going to happen? What's it going to take? And just being here today, there's a lot more type of an institutional type of environment here. Seeing the big giants, hearing about what they're doing. Seriously, seeing people like Microsoft, IBM, JPM,
I was reading that.
Fidelity, all coming through with. Before it was really private side things, which wasn't that exciting for the sort of retail market, but now I'm hearing a lot more retail-facing, public-side offerings from these big companies.
Absolutely.
And that gets me quite excited.
And that's what gets me excited too, because then, that's when I see that, I'm like, wow, this is the next wave of actual mass adoption. But it's not going to be the 2017 bull run FOMO.
No.
It's not FOMO. This is the real thing. And I mean, these guys want to be investing the money that they're investing, building their own blockchains, building their own cryptocurrencies, or Microsoft basically announcing that they're using the Bitcoin blockchain to launch their decentralized identity system.
Whoa, I missed this one.
I was reading that article this morning. I'm coming here on Bitcoinist, so I was just like, okay, all right, I'll remember that. But I mean, that's huge. That's huge news, you know? And that's going to be for all its users' applications across the digital world. So when I hear things like that, I do know that we're in the process of this huge mass adoption. And I think in the next 10 years, I've heard this like a million times today. Everybody keeps saying it, but it's a social media thing, or it's, when the internet first launched. You know what I mean? It's like we all saw it, nobody took it seriously, and then boom, 10 years later, it's like everyday life. People don't ask what is blockchain or how it works. Nobody even cares about the technical side of it. People know.
The IMF posted a poll on Twitter, and it was, how will you be paying for your coffee in 5 years' time? And it had all the different options with your mobile phone, credit card, cash, or cryptocurrencies, and over 50% of the votes in the poll. And this is the IMF, so I don't think they're particularly trolled or followed by cryptocurrency people.
Right.
Over 50% of the votes said it would be cryptocurrency.
Right. Because people now see a trend. That people see a trend with we saw again with the 90s.com, with the social media boom. They now know that, okay, this is it. And that's why we saw that FOMO happen. I don't think, again, we're going to be in that situation again. But I think people are accepting the fact that cryptocurrency is here to stay. It's going to be part of our everyday lives, and tokenization is just happening everywhere. Before it was just more kind of a tight niche group. Gamers. Everybody always talks about the gamers. It's kind of like this is like their world. You know. I don't think that's true. I think that it's just expanding into all different types of companies, big companies. So it's exciting. I think that's what excites me the most, to be a part of this.
Awesome. And so the last question I'm going to ask you before you go, we ask everyone who comes on the show, when the clock strikes 12 on New Year's Eve this year, what do you think the price of Bitcoin will be?
I think it'll be over 10,000.
Over 10,000.
Over 10,000.
I like that number.
I'm modest.
I'm always more
modest.
But I like that over leaves a lot of room for growth.
Over, yeah. I think we're going to stabilize kind of near the second half of the year. I think it needs to, because every time we see that spike happen, it's not healthy. It's not healthy. And the thing is, everybody wants this, we want to stabilize. We don't want to see too much volatility, so I think it's going to stabilize a little bit. And I think near the end of the year, we always kind of see that spike up. So I think it'll definitely cross over 10,000. But how high? Who knows? Marketing.
Love it. Well, Lidia, thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you so much. We made it.
We made it through.
We made it.
We made it through.
Yeah.
Please enjoy the drinks, the after parties, everything. That goes out to everyone else that's here and watching. And we'll catch you next year, hopefully. We'll catch you at the next conference.
Absolutely.
That's bye from us for now.
Bye.